and welcome to our live again. Thank you, by the way, for joining, and thank you for coming here. By the way, before we begin, I'll take a minute and thank you, Gillette, for putting the presentation together. She's put this presentation together. She's also coordinating with this live. So thank you, Gillette. I will take control now. Can you actually, no, sorry, Gillette, you go ahead, take control and give me the slides. Perfect. Now I will take control and here we go. So my name is Faizal Garasia. I'm a mortgage agent with Dominion Lending Center, Mortgage House, a franchise, and the FISRA license is there. So for this webinar, some of the best practices that I put together. A quiet place is ideal for better listening, since this is going to be an informational webinar, a webinar full of information. Headphones are great for easier understanding. Please put your phone on silent mode to avoid any interruptions. Best to avoid multitasking for optimal results, like checking your email, text, notifications, etc. And I strongly suggest you stay present, and sitting down really helps with staying present. The topic is, oh, we have a blank there in the topic. So my apologies. It should say inflation because we are talking about inflation. And as I said, thank you for attending. This presentation will be approximately 15 to 25 minutes. Please ask questions in the comment section. I'll answer them at the end of the presentation. At the end of webinar, you'll learn about inflation. It's more about inflation. We should have also edited that last topic, but last line. But more importantly, you will learn about inflation. Some of the social media, you can call or text to our number 416-825-0142. We're very diligent. We respond very fast. There's Facebook to check out some of the content we have. Instagram, we have lots of it. And TikTok, it's also there. And of course, the website, which is bestrate-mortgage.com. And we strive very hard to get you, the client, the best rate we can get you, provided your scenario. And another amazing tool we have, our head office has developed is a mobile app, which you can download on faizalgarasia.com, and the link is on the right side. So inflation, the topic today is inflation and where is it coming from? In today's topic, we will talk about where does the inflation come from. So inflation is something we've been hearing a lot in 2022. In fact, I should, and this is not funny, but funny at the same time. I've had friends that have word of the year, and inflation seems to be the word of the year. Inflation has been going on in market ever since, but we barely notice it as a consumer, and hence we forgot it existed. So why are we hearing this now? Well, it's because the Bank of Canada consecutively raised interest rates to combat inflation. And I'll tell you more on the next slides. But when the rates go up, that's one of the reason rates are going up, overnight rates go up, is to combat inflation, which is could be deadly. Bank of Canada consecutively increased the interest rate this year, 2022, 7 hikes in total. And the last interest rate hike was December 7th, 2022, resulting to 4.25 policy interest rate. Now that's crazy, right? But have you ever wondered why Bank of Canada continuously increased the interest rate? Well, one of the main reason is to fight inflation. Inflation is something that happens not just for one reason. There are many reasons that contribute to inflation. But one of the way to combat inflation is Bank of Canada raising the interest rates. I'll tell you more on the next slide again. But first, what causes inflation? Well, these past few years, there has been challenge from everywhere. The pandemic strike, so on and so forth, lockdowns. When the Omicron wave passed and businesses started to reopen, they could not keep up with the consumer demand, and this put a significant upward pressure on prices. Now, inflation in simple terms is the cost of a product that you're buying, which has gone up drastically. Now, there are calculations to it, but basically, $4 milk, when it goes to $6, that's 33% hike, right? So when that, well, to be exact, 33.33% hike. So when that number is 33.33%, it's a little bit concerning. Basically, $40 item is now $60. Now, your pay hasn't gone up $20, but the cost of this item that is necessity to your life has gone up by 20%, $20, which is 33.33%. How can you sustain that? You can't. And therefore, government has to come in to combat that inflation, which is where the rate hikes come in. The pandemic is one of the many reasons for inflation, but it's not the only reason. I mean, there are governments like to blame the pandemic, but there are many reasons, and we're going to just cover some of them, just so we're all aware that it is not comprehensive, but these are some of the main factors. Now, the second reason is the Ukrainian war. The invasion of Russia in Ukraine has greatly affected the economy. It weakens the foreign demand and brings stronger price rises, but also longer commodity revenues, sending prices for energy and agricultural goods much higher. And lastly, supply problems, both global and domestic, proved to be more consistent and persuasive than anticipated. This put upward pressure on many prices. If there is an upward pressure on from various different sources, of course the prices are going to move up, and that contributes to inflation. Supply chain disruptions. When pandemic happened, stuff was closed down. uh, you know it combined to disruptions, and disruptions of supply chain means less goods for more buyers. Of course, there's a bidding war. The prime example was toilet paper. In fact, very recently was children's Tylenol, where there's not enough Tylenol for everyone to have, so they're giving one per family, one box of toilet paper per family per visit. So there are individuals going 3 and 4 and 5 times to have enough for their big families. So that's another way people try to do. But more importantly, when there is too less of a goods for more demand, more buyers, it pushes the prices up, which is inflation. At about 7% inflation today, now, Canadian government wants the inflation to be around 2% because 2% is healthy. 3% is, 4% starts to get a little iffy. But here, 7%, we are sitting at 7%. No wonder Bank of Canada has to come in and raise the rates to combat some of them. Now, will they be able to combat all of it? Probably not. However, as long as they can take some of the pressure off, it's better than nothing. So inflation is a long way from what had expected, which is 2%. So right now it's sitting at 7. I wouldn't be even surprised if it's more than 7, but we're only getting the numbers around 7 because remember, inflation calculation is also a basket of goods. So and those exact same goods have slightly different pricing in different areas depending on location and such. So the target is 2% by the end of 2022. That is the target, but we're sitting at 7%. So that's a bit concerning. That's more than 3 times what the target is. Imagine you want a product to be $100, but it's more than 300. How can you afford that? Affordability becomes a problem. When affordability becomes a problem in developed countries like Canada, imagine what it would be in an underdeveloping country, which is just another, whole new can of worms to deal with. The need for higher profit is another one. Well, businesses do get greedy, where they, when they see they have the monopoly, and for example, let's just pick an example. Here's the set of keys. Let's say the key manufacturer in Canada are 10 of them. They'll have healthy competition. They'll keep the prices accordingly. So, they're not, the consumer has some sort of an option, some sort of a making sure that the prices are in line with what the costs are. You take 9 of them out. Now you only have one key manufacturer. They can sell at whatever cost they want because the one who cannot afford to pay doesn't matter because they're making enough profit from the rest of it. So monopoly is another huge problem that adds to the inflation. In this pandemic, in 2020's pandemic, some of the small businesses went out of business. So imagine if the small, convenience store that has gone out of business, of course, the superstore close to that can raise the prices because there's no more competition from the convenience store. Shortage of labor. Labor shortage is a challenge everywhere, all across globe. The burger joint doesn't have enough people. The pizza joint doesn't have enough people. The mortgage brokerage doesn't have enough people, so on and so forth. Labor shortage is everywhere. It is a fact. Why? Because of many reasons, many reasons. The newer generation, they have different priorities. They look at life differently. Their needs are different. They don't have to work as much. There's many aspects. But more importantly, shortage of labor. And therefore, if there is a shortage of labor, there's higher labor cost. And it's a fact. Specifically skilled labor, because getting general labor doesn't seem to be much of a shortage. When it becomes skilled, that's when it's a bit of a challenge. But with all that, I will conclude. Inflation is caused by many reasons, and it does not only affect one region. So it's not just Canada's problem, it's everyone's problem. It's around the globe. However, we're in Canada. I'm in Canada, and we are in real estate. and mortgages. So with that, it does affect the housing, which is one of the primary, it's on the high of the bucket list of Canadians to be a homeowner. And it does affect your monthly cost, the purchase price of the property. I mean, I'm glad I'm not really glad, but I mean, they raised the rates to combat some of this upward price pressure on properties. And therefore, right now, what I'm seeing is not like last year when it was bidding wars. Right now, properties are in the market for some time. They are accepting 5-day conditional offers, so on and so forth. So, and reducing the inflation pressure may take some time. So I do not expect the rates to come down anytime soon. I actually expect the pressure to come down, and then slowly, if there is any reduction in rates. With that being said, thank you very much. I truly appreciate you all being here. And I tried to keep it under 25 minutes, and here we are at 16 so far. So the next slide is, again, thank you. And I love this slide because it says thank you in many different ways. Gracias, mercy, obrigado, and I'll butcher everyone's thank you here. Um, with that, these are some of the ways to connect. I appreciate you being here, and see you next time.